We've all asked ourselves these questions at some point, right? Why do horrible things happen? How on earth are we supposed to find meaning when we're dealing with loss, with tragedy, with real pain? These are the questions that can keep you up at night. And today, we're going to dive into the philosophy of suffering to find an answer that isn't about some easy comfort, but about something much deeper, a kind of rebellious meaning.
So let's kick things off with a really wild idea from Friedrich Nietzsche, amor fati, which means a love of one's fate. Now, this isn't just about gritting your teeth and bearing it. No, Nietzsche is saying we should actually actively love our destiny. The good, the bad, all of it. It's this powerful, almost defiant way to face whatever life throws at you. But now contrast that with this equally profound thought from Albert Camus. Here, the universe isn't some grand fate to be loved. It's just this vast, silent, and completely indifferent thing. And the freedom here doesn't come from loving your fate, but from accepting that the universe, well, it just doesn't care. And somewhere between these two poles, loving fate and accepting indifference, that's where our search for meaning really begins.
And that brings us to the absolute heart of the matter. We often tell people to be philosophical about their problems. But can academic philosophy, with all its abstract theories, really truly help us when we're face to face with a real, gut-wrenching tragedy?
Well, it turns out that professional philosophy often gets real quiet when it comes to this stuff. It seems to be way more comfortable debating abstract concepts than it is grappling with the messy, personal, and painful reality of human suffering.
Yeah, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have what you might call thin philosophy. It's all about neat little abstract puzzles. But human suffering is the complete opposite of that. It's messy, it's personal, it's raw, and it just resists any easy answers. There's this huge chasm between the two.
So think about it. The very questions that we are all desperate to have answered, questions about loss, about why bad things happen to good people, those are often the very questions that professional philosophy has been notoriously unwilling to touch.
But there was one philosopher who charged directly into that silence. His name was Miguel de Unamuno, and he gives us this incredible, overlooked clue for understanding our whole predicament.
Unamuno's starting point is, well, it's pretty stark. He argued that we have to accept a brutal fact. Some suffering just doesn't get resolved. Some evil never finds redemption. And if you start from there, with this tragic sense, you're refusing all the easy, comforting illusions right from the get-go.
And here's the crazy irony. The very book that took on these essential, human questions has been all but kicked out of modern philosophy. By ignoring him, the field has kind of sidestepped the very thing that Unamuno saw as being central to being alive.
Now, Unamuno argued that this struggle with suffering isn't just something that's happening out there. He said it reflects this deep conflict that's raging inside every single one of us. It's a battle between our reason and our passion.
And wow, this just nails the dilemma. Our rational mind, if you take it to its logical conclusion, shows you how life might be totally meaningless. It leads to skepticism. It's basically the enemy of commitment. But then there's our passion, our heart, and that's the source of all meaning and commitment. It believes even when reason is screaming that there's no evidence.
This is the core of Unamuno's whole idea. Meaning isn't something we discover through cold, hard logic. It's something we create through a kind of passionate rebellion, by committing to things in spite of what our rational brain tells us is ultimately meaningless.
So here's the kicker. This is not a problem you can solve. We are permanently caught in this tension. We can't just throw reason out the window, but we also literally cannot survive without the meaning that our passion gives us. This conflict is the human condition.
This internal tension finds this amazing parallel in the work of another existentialist, Albert Camus. He took this whole idea of a pointless struggle and turned it into this heroic act of rebellion against the universe itself.
Camus called this conflict the absurd. It's that clash, that standoff between our desperate human need for answers and meaning, and a universe that just gives us cold, indifferent silence in return.
And for Camus, the ultimate hero of this absurd condition, the poster child for it all, is the mythical figure of Sisyphus, the guy who was condemned by the gods to an eternity of pointless labor.
Okay, let's dive into this. So Sisyphus is condemned to roll a huge boulder up a hill just to watch it roll back down forever. He knows his situation is hopeless. He's fully conscious of it. But, and this is the crucial part, in that moment of consciousness, as the rock is rolling back down, Camus imagines Sisyphus shaking his fist at the gods in defiance. And in that one act, he's no longer just a victim, he transcends his punishment.
See, his meaning isn't in succeeding. He never will. His meaning is found in the conscious struggle itself, in the scorn and defiance he shows to his fate. The rebellion is the meaning. He makes that rock his own. So what do we take away from Unamuno's inner conflict and Camus' absurd hero? Well, it all leads to this incredibly powerful conclusion about where meaning actually comes from. We have to shift our whole way of thinking from finding meaning to creating it.
The universe is not going to hand us some tidy little package with the meaning of life written on it. The very first step is just letting go of the idea that there's a single correct answer out there just waiting to be discovered.
Instead, meaning is an act of creation. It's something we actively build. We make meaning through the things we choose to care about, the projects we decide to take on, and the people we commit ourselves to.
And this isn't some abstract idea, right? We do this every day. We create meaning in our love for others, in the communities we belong to, in our fight for justice, in the work that engages us, and even just in the simple joy of using our skills. These are our passionate commitments. This is us pushing our own boulders up our own hills.
And this is our heroic stance. You know, it's both beautiful and, from a cosmic perspective, maybe a little pathetic. But it is so profoundly meaningful. Every single time we commit to something or someone, we are Sisyphus, shaking our own puny fist at an indifferent universe and creating our own purpose in defiance of it all.
So we'll end with this question for you. If meaning isn't something you find, but something you build, brick by passionate brick, then what is the meaning that you are creating with your one absurd and precious life?